First of all, I should say that I love you, Uncle Sam, and I love each and every person in this world, on this planet. So I don't have any kind of ill will. I don't hold any kind of ill will towards anybody or planet Earth. And I'm really in debt to Uncle Sam. But here's the thing, Uncle Sam. Just like any nephew, if you live in your uncle's house for a few days and a few years, you come across some inefficiencies that you think to yourself that, hey, why doesn't somebody bring to mouth these inefficiencies, because these inefficiencies in the system of Uncle Sam would results into very humans living inefficiently on planet Earth. And why should we as human beings live inefficiently if we can live much more efficiently? And by saying much more efficiently, I'm trying to what I mean is, if you do things logically, you try to do. I'm not always successful, but I do my best. And if all of us do our best to try to live logically, then we have much less issues with each other. It's logic. It's like up and down. If you look at the issues logically, and if we tell each other about hey brother, how do I see the situation that you're having? What is the logic of it? What is the logic of it? The way I see it, what you're doing can be done better, because the logic that you're using is not really we can reason, we can sit down, we can reason, and I can tell you that what you're doing is not logical, and this is the logical way. And to do that, I don't think should be considered as even a suspicious thing. And it's like, no, hey, he's seeing some inefficiencies in our system. Just like, well, the same thing, I had problems where I was in the shithole I was living before. Is you see inefficiencies, you have to say something, and that's what always ending badly for me. But I can't. Frankly, I'm somewhat autistic, and I'm on the autism curve, so I really can't help myself by wanting to state things clearly as I can put them and point to the logical solution that I think I'm wrong most of the time. So there is no I don't ever mean to say that what I'm saying is exactly right. No, far from it. I'm like, folks, this is not working out, for example. Well, obviously we're doing something wrong, for example. And I think if you do it like this, it will produce more efficiency for human race on this planet. Earth, we're talking about for now. But that should be, that should be encouraged. but unfortunately, some of our, over the past 15 years, I believe at least 5 times, our friends at the FBI have come and met me. Apparently, they don't expect anybody to undercover, overcover, investigative, intimidative. It's sort of like, apparently you're not supposed to say anything that is not pre-approved by Fox News. Sort of like, oh, only Fox speaks logic, and if there is another narrative, everybody is offended. It's sort of like, you mean to tell me you have another narrative? And it's like, well, there is. Believe it or not, people think differently, very differently. This doesn't mean there should be any sort of conflict. People thinking differently results into finding better solutions. As simple as that. People thinking differently results into finding better solutions for the shit that exists. And you don't want that. You want that. You want people to think very differently from each other. So when there's a problem, many voices can be heard, so the better solution can be found. And this goes for the shithole like Iran as well. Folks, the thing with, freedom of speech is this, that when you let many voices to be heard from the tribe, when you let many voices be heard that are within the tribe, it's better for the tribe, because then from all those voices you can find the best solution. Maybe the solution that comes to one or two people's minds is very limited. Maybe better solutions can be found from within the crowd. Maybe there is an asshole over there. Maybe there is an asshole over there that in general is an asshole, but in this one case, maybe he's got a point. Let's try it. You see what I'm saying? You don't really need to, even give credit to Mr. Noam Chomsky. You don't even need to, name him, but at least try to see if you do what he is saying, both in Iran and in Uncle Sam's, as far as Uncle Sam is concerned. If both sides do what he is saying, maybe there would be peace. Maybe there wouldn't be, this situation. Maybe there wouldn't be. That's what I'm saying. That let's hear all voices. And they all doesn't have to conflict. It's sort of like let's hear all voices. Then maybe from all these voices we can come to some sort of understanding that maybe we try it that way and maybe we try it this way. And that's what Obama brought to the table, and with starting to talk with everybody, including the North Koreans, including the Cubans, and including the Iranians, and including the Venezuelans. Unfortunately, nobody cooperated with him. He had to do everything by executive order. Folks, this is what I'm saying, that the main thing that has to be done, you gotta raise the bar of who is acceptable to be a representative in my tribe. I'm not even talking about a nation. I'm talking about a tribe. A tribe of people, a group of people gather around each other with a campfire and are living there. First of all, you got to see who should be the leader of this tribe. What kind of quality do we want? Do we want a good thinker? Do we want we want a thinker. We don't want the guy who, jumps into the fire, right? We don't want the crazy guy. We want the thinker. Okay. Now, so we know the first step. You have a small tribe of people around the campfire. We want the best thinker of this tribe to be our leader in this tribe. Okay. Let's go look for thinkers. Then our first criteria is the thinkers. We have A, B, let's say they are good. Everybody knows that these 3 or 5 are great thinkers in our tribe of, let's say, 80 people. In our tribe of 80 people, these 5 are known for their thinking abilities because, they solve most of the problems, they care for the elderly in the tribe, and, they have done things for the tribe, and the way they have talked about issues that have come up over the years, it seems these guys have always had a better answer than everybody else who was, scratching their ass when their question had been risen. So let's choose from these 5 who will be the leader of our tribe. Okay, let's maybe take a vote. And from these 5 wise leaders, one of them would be chosen by vote. Very democratic. Folks, what has happened is science has moved on from the time that there was no institutions and really recognition of one's education was not really, written somewhere. So Benjamin Franklin was an inventor and scientist of his time. He would have been an equivalent of a PhD in today's time. You got the scripture called the Constitution. That's fine. It's like prescription. It's prescription for drug. Constitution is sort of a prescription. Hey, we should live like this so we won't have conflicts. Continuous conflict. All the time conflict. With each other, with outside our tribe, with inside our tribe. So that's it. That's the prescription for preventing conflict. And the guys who wrote this prescription, this constitution, their objective was how to avoid conflict at all possible costs. Avoid conflict. So unless you're basically being violated, let's avoid conflicts. Let's try to avoid conflicts. That means come to some sort of handshake kind of a deal. Okay, you don't think this price is right? Okay, we pay a little more. You want a little? Okay, we pay a little. Okay, we don't want to rip you off. Here's a better price. Let's shake on it and move on. That's the whole point of having a prescription, a constitution, a Bible. That's the whole point of shaking on it and moving on, making some sort of a deal. Because there's always a number involved. Let's be frank, all human interaction, 99.999% or altruistic acts could not be considered as, for money. The rest of the function of us on planet Earth is basically about numbers, money, numbers. From how much per pound of grapes to how much the value of the Suez Canal, it's all numbers. And and the whole idea of the British and going and taking over, British and the French both, each on one side, taking over the Suez Canal as if like this is our property. It's like a toll booth, and the British coming in and saying, oh, well, we take the toll booth, you keep the desert, we take the toll booth. And you see what I'm saying? It's sort of like, it's illogical. Are you fucking kidding me? They own the desert, let them own the toll booth. And they actually went, the British, the pink-skinned British, went to war over a toll booth. It's sort of like, no, you keep you have the desert, we have the toll booth, because the toll booth is profitable. So they had their Suez Canal under their control for many, many years, and they went to war on that. So this tells you that the British cannot be trusted, period. The British cannot be trusted because not because of their 10,000 years ago history, because of their 50 year ago history. Because the British eliminated the Aborigines of Australia. Mostly the British eliminated the original people of the Americas. So British cannot be trusted, period. They have shown to the world, the British have shown to the world what is wanting more than your share. This is as simplest way I can put it. The British have shown to the world what it is to wanting more than your fair share. So they had a little island over here, they were living over here, and then they decided to, no, we are overpopulated in this island, we are crafty, we are smart, we can do it. We can go and take over other pieces of land on this planet Earth and just stay there. We just stay there and start exterminating the local flora and fauna, and even if there has any less intelligent, the key word here is less intelligent bipedal, and we're gonna go eliminate the motherfuckers. We're gonna propagate. And I had this question myself, and what's the morality in this matter? Why would you consider the morality of the matter when one argument can be, oh well, we the pinkskins made a better use of the land. It's like, then that's that idea of example of me shooting the bear to take the fish that he caught because I can do a better job of filleting it. I can do a nice, a restaurant kind of a deal, make it more valuable, add value to it, to that fish being that is prepared very well. So I'm adding added value to it, and meanwhile, because the way the bear was about to eat it was very primitive, and it's gonna rip through it and eat it one piece at a time, and I was going to do, create a much better end result by doing magic in the kitchen with that same fish. And can you say that this is doing this act, killing the bear to grab the fish to add value to it, is the right act to do? No, you can't, because you're eliminating the biodiversity by killing the bear, because the fish produce in the millions, the bear reproduce one at a time, and you should let the bear have the fish, and you grab a bigger fish, hook a bigger fish. So this idea works with the human beings as well. Yes, they are maybe less developed cognitively, maybe not as smart as you guys, who had to live under limited conditions of Northern Europe, limited resources of an island, especially. So when you're up against the limited resources of an island, you become very innovative. Only the smart ones live to tell about it, live to reproduce. So you have become, a very smart group of people sitting on an island in Britain. And you have become smart because of elimination of all the dumb ones over the years. But that doesn't give you the right to shoot the bear to take the fish. To take over Egypt, to take over the canal. And sort of like, no, we can make better use of this canal. Let's say I will tell you about it. It's sort of like, no, the canal is in his land. Why you take the toll booth? But the British unfortunately, they have this mindset of me first. And this mindset was the mindset that the fathers of the United States of America went against this mindset. It's sort of like, no, you don't, we are not your toll booth here. We are not your toll booth. We want to, keep our own money. Thank you very much. And we're going to even throw the tea into the ocean to tell you that we'd rather get rid of it than pay taxes to you on it. So here's the thing. To you, here is the British. The problem is the British. They're manipulating everybody. They're very good manipulators. They're very smart, and they're very good manipulators. Here's one key manipulations. That they created a guy called 007. As if to say that, and made those movies so good for their time period that they were in, made those movies so good and so acceptable with the youngish crowd, with all the pussy and all the short skirts, made it so intriguing for the young guys. But the message, what was the message? What is the message behind 007? Excuse me. What is the message behind 007? The message behind 007 is that we are so good, we are so cool, we have such sophisticated weapon, and we are always for the good. We, the British, we're always for the good. We are always the good side. So some these motherfuckers want to blow up planet Earth from the moon, so we are, we go and fix it. We, the British, are the good guys. We go and fix it, prevent the planet Earth from exploding. So we are the good guys. And they invested so much money into making these movies and selling them hand over fist to the brown people and the black people of the world, and promoting it. And so basically telling, and all the young people of those world who they're going to become, running that show over there, already are pre-programmed to accept that the British are good and they're the best and they don't fuck with them and nothing. That's it. The British can do whatever they want. They have a license to kill, and we, the brown and the black people, we should be proud that to be associated with these guys. They're very sharp. That's the whole infatuation of a lot of these, the Commonwealth around the world, is that infatuation of the black people and brown people who basically decided that yes, 007 is true. It's all true. We should be thankful that Mr. Seven is here. We should be thankful. He's looking after us. He's looking after us. And this whole idea of he's looking after us, is the idea that says, oh, you see, this is colonialism. This is how, in a very subtle way, they're telling their subjects that you should be glad that we are in charge. That you should be glad to, because our agents have a license to kill. You should be glad that our agent, even if he has to take your life for the better good, you should be glad for it because we got a pink skin. So, folks, you gotta. It looks bad for us living on planet Earth, that when we treat it looks. Look at it from an alien perspective. That if you enter into somebody's house, if you want to enter into somebody's house, you won't go in even if you hear that they're fighting inside. They're almost killing each other. They have guns and missiles. Everything is blazing to defend each other, defend themselves from each other. And so they're not, let's say if an alien, with antennas, wants to approach, is going to say, shit, these people, they're very aggressive and paranoid. They literally shoot at anything that they don't know. They shoot at anything that they don't understand. That means they have not reached the level of education that creates a critical mind that appreciates anything they don't understand. You see, the difference between a cow and a critical mind is this. A cow avoids hard problems. If there is a hard problem, the cowboy shoots it. You see? If there is a hard problem, the cow or the cowboy, both of them, either one, when there's the cow will, start using his horn to get rid of any kind of problem that he sees. That's the whole thing behind bullfighting is this. The whole concept is that the cow, wherever the bull sees a stimulative, it just goes at it with his horns. Well, the cowboy goes at it with his gun. The Western cowboy, whatever that was represented to us as being the Western cowboy, he goes at it, whatever problem a cowboy doesn't understand, he goes at it with his gun. And back to who do we choose as the leader of the tribe? Back 50,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago, in a tribe of 50 people, we chose from the 5 best thinkers of the tribe. We said, okay, one of these 5 should be the leader of the tribe. Not the cowboy. Not the guy who he says, I'm a cowboy. That means he's not a great thinker. 50,000 years ago, they realized that it's better to choose from that 5 thinkers which one should be the leader of our tribe, because we want to make it to the next summer. Because we want to make it, we the tribe of 80 people, we want to make it to the next summer. So we are going to choose the most intelligent guy in the tribe to be our leader. Not the cowboy, not the guy that throws the spear the best, equivalent of the cowboy. Not the fastest guy with the spear. We want the fastest guy with the brain. So, but today, and Benjamin Franklin was the fastest guy with the brain. And George Washington was the fastest guy with the brain. Do you see, the fastest guy with the brain? Does the word the fastest guy with the brain comes to your mind when you hear the leader of the tribe talk about, disinfectants? Maybe you should drink disinfectants to get rid of the virus. when the leader of the tribe, the biggest tribe, the most powerful tribe in the world, talks about disinfectants, and why don't, because of not knowing, I don't think he had ill will, but let's just say because of it was because of ignorance. That means, forgive me, whatever that is, it just means we're not talking about great thinking here. Because anybody with a PhD, knows enough to not talk about something that they don't know about. They either don't talk about it or they can't stop talking about it because that's their specialty. Anybody with a PhD knows that in order to prevent making a mess and creating a bigger problem, knows that either don't talk about something that you don't know about, or if you know exactly what it is, you can talk about it as much as you like. This is what a PhD guy knows. Somebody with good education. So just this example shows that the quality of the leadership, forget about the message of the leadership and how, because I can have, you can have the best message, but if you don't have the skills, you can't perform what is the job. If you don't have the skills, the preparedness to do the job, doesn't matter how much ideas you have. How you see what I'm saying? What is the message? The message is, let's go to the moon. Everybody has been trying to go to the moon forever. After so much expense, thank God Uncle Sam went to the moon. But then, there was, the expenditure that should have continued to go to the moon went into, let's secure this planet. Security means order. Order means a lot of casualty. Order means a lot of casualty. That means when you talk about order, bringing order from outside, you're talking about a balloon that is full of water and you're holding it from the top. That's order. Whatever level that society has reached within their cognitive power, whatever level the society has reached is formed that balloon. Let's consider the skin of the balloon full of water. Let's consider the skin as order and the water as the population that is applying the order to. Now, whatever level, whatever shape this balloon has formed up at this point without any outside manipulation is its optimum level. And you want to leave it at that. You don't want any outside manipulation. It will eventually move on, move up the scale of modernity. It will do it, but on its own time scale, with there should be no interference from outside. It will grow, it will mature, and it become modern, and become postmodern, and it becomes pre-modern, and ultra-modern. It will become whatever you want it to become, but on its own time scale. Any kind of outside pressure over whatever reason, if they tell you we are pressuring because of this or that, it's bullshit. It's over money. Pressure is always over money. And the thing is, if you have a professor in the White House he would be within the mindset to understand that casualty should be avoided at all cost, because you are decreasing diversity. When there is casualty, you're decreasing diversity, and anything that decreases diversity, it's not a good thing. So I mean, anything that decreases diversity is not a good thing. Okay, if you believe that there are too many of us on planet Earth, all right, promote contraception. Stop reproducing, and you decrease the numbers, like the Japanese have done, are doing, like the Chinese are doing. If you believe too many people is a problem, stop reproducing. But the whole idea that no, too many people over there are the problem, we should go eliminate some people over there in order to, so we can, propagate, well, that's called decreasing the diversity. If we had, there were 100 million, 115 million Native Americans in America before the Europeans came over. 115 million. Now there are 5 million. Now, all of them together are 5 million. There used to be 115 million by one estimate. Estimate, I mean, apparently it was a, study done that came up with around 115 million inhabitants of North American redskin. And the Europeans just came in and decreased the diversity by, we want this land, you have this land, we take this land, you lie dead. By decreasing the diversity, we have robbed ourselves on planet Earth from a lot of diversity. A lot of diversity is what makes life interesting. Diversity is what makes life worth living. Diversity is the only thing that makes life worth living. If there is no diversity, might as well you jump in the ocean. If there is nothing to look forward to as far as, a different thing altogether every day, when days become, if you allow your days to become same every day, something dies inside. Something dies inside. That's why I always liked sales, because sales, there is no 2 days alike, because you'd never have two customers alike. You never run out of subjects to think about, to talk about in sales. Never. So the point is this, folks, have to better the quality of leadership. The tribe needs to think like the tribe used to think 50,000 years ago, or even not 50,000 years ago, as close to us as 1776. In 1776, that prescription constitution that was written around there sometimes, there were guys who wrote this, they were professors of their time. You should legally, in order for the current leader to execute that prescription the way it was meant to be executed, you have to elect the educated people, the pool of the people that should be allowed to become candidate, to become a president of the United States, to become a senator of the United States at the federal level, at least the PhD. The minimum bar has to be 1 PhD, well, from a respected institution. So there would be proof that this guy is a thinker. This is one of the 5 guys who are thinkers in our tribe. This is one of them, because a well-respected learning environment has proved that this guy is a learner. He's learned a lot. He likes learning. He likes looking for solutions. You gotta have a minimum bar at for your leadership. I'm sorry. I had to say this because, especially because I saw. You see, after Mr. T, celebrities like The Rock decides that maybe he runs for president. So, and then a lot of people said, Oprah, why don't Oprah, who's used to be a talk show host, although I think she would make a great president, but she has a history of, talking and listening and, making a logical connection with the interviewee. This is making some sort of connection. Oprah is a thinker. Yes, of course. Why not Oprah? All you need in that job is to a proof that you're a thinker. So The Rock would probably know what Oprah. Yeah, why not? The point is this: that if that person's job had to involve the brain, yes, that person is qualified. How do we grade? How do we have a measurement to measure how much the brain is working? Do we have a measurement in today's age? Yes, we have a measurement. People who like learning and like solving puzzles and solving problems, they are attracted to universities and eventually they come out with a PhD. So let's find those people, put them in charge. Put them in the White House, put them in the Senate, put them in the House, get the PhDs, put them in charge, because they value learning. They don't. The learning is obviously the most important thing they value, because they went after it. They didn't know they're going to end up in politics, but here's the thing: you should look for a politician who is a learner, and it just happened to end up in politics. A politician who actually he was a learner. He was a university professor for 25 years, and now he's been asked by some people to do us a favor and run. That's the guy you want. Ex-professors. You want these guys, and you probably have to kiss their ass to run for president, because an ex-professor of a university is not really, it doesn't have any financial issues, and you really at that point have to kiss their ass to consider running, because you need their skill, you need their problem solving skill. The tribe needs them, that ex-university professor, let's say professor of physics, professor of chemistry, professor of geology, professor of, doesn't matter. Just the fact that a professor with a considerable years spreading information and solving puzzles, you want that in your as chief of the tribe. And you only want those people. You don't want cowboys. The guy is like, as I said, it's like the equivalent of the tribe 50,000 years ago choosing the guy who throws the spear well as the leader of the tribe. It's like, no, we want to live until the next summer. So we're not. You're only good at throwing spears. The other day you were fucking the dog the other day. You were not going to make you the leader of the dog. You fuck the dog and then you throw spear well. But just for the fact that you fuck the dog, we're going to choose our leader from these guys. So the point is this: quality of leadership. and to quality control the leadership. So if you quality control the leadership, you can, and how do you do that? You raise the bar and you say, okay, at this level of leadership in our tribe, we want a PhD, somebody who at least has one PhD, and at least one PhD, please. This whole idea of today was Miss Kathleen Jenner decided to, I want to run. Because when you don't set a minimum bar, then notoriety, anyone with some kind of notoriety, which notoriety used to be not such a good word, but now they use the word celebrity. Anybody with any sort of notoriety says, yes, I want to be president because now many people know my name. That's good. That's a good thing. And with internet, a lot of these names really spread through internet because it's a worldwide news. It's not a local news anymore. It's worldwide news. And sort of like Kathleen Jenner can say, yes, they know me in Nairobi, Kenya, or Nigeria, I don't know. So just based on that, I would make a good leader because because they all know me. They can vote for me. They know my name. They can cross the box. So this notoriety becomes if you don't set a lower bar, if you don't raise the bar to PhD, then the other alternative becomes who sings better, who dances better, who's more notorious, who had a couple of movies out. His movies made a lot of money, Mr. Rock, so he has notoriety. People know his name, so why not? Let's be a governor. Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's sort of like, folks, this is not good. Now, here it's good as long as Arnold Schwarzenegger would, memorize his speeches like he memorized his scripts and repeat it. But then you get a Trump who doesn't want to read his prepared scripts. You see what I'm saying? Just a notoriety, put him in office. Just a notoriety, put Mr. T in office. But then, and he wasn't reading the script. Reagan, the same thing. Notoriety put him in office, but he was, reading script. Everyone's script was scripted. Every one of his, conversations. He was an actor. His job is reading off script, memorizing sentences. So, folks, you can't let democracy end up being who's the most notorious to become the leader of the tribe. We tried it, and the problem with that, and another problem with letting the most notorious run the tribe, is that you end up becoming a caste society. To put it simply, when notoriety becomes the rule, that whoever is more notorious, noteworthy, noticed, whoever is more noticed should be given a higher rank in the society, automatically will end up becoming because people who don't know how to do it end up in the job just because their last name used to be this or that. And so somehow your leadership becomes sort of like generational leadership, because it's all about notoriety. If your family is Bush, if your family is Trump, and you have your names on building and you have notoriety, and then you can use that name notoriety, name recognition to have your family in politics, and it will go after generation, becomes even better, unless somebody screws up really bad. Generation after generation becomes better, average, whatever. So then Chelsea Clinton has a chance, better chance, or Liz Cheney has a better chance of representing Wyoming than a lady PhD from the geology department in the University of Wyoming, who happened to be a great thinker. That great thinker doesn't get a chance because she doesn't have notoriety. Because she would have, but that's the thing. The politician shouldn't have notoriety. Because thinkers are not looking for notoriety. Thinkers are not looking for notoriety. Thinkers are looking for information and how to solve the next puzzle. You want these guys in your political seats, not the notorious ones. Not the notorious, because once the notorious ones get into politics, they don't know what to do. And if they read the script, it's going to be a party script, or not party script, rich people's script. Say this and do that, and we go on for another day. Either it's going to be a rich people's script once he gets into the office, or another person that goes in because of their notoriety, like Mr. T, then he goes off script, and it becomes a hot mess. The whole situation becomes a hot mess, and almost casualties will increase when somebody who goes into the job because of notoriety, not because of their thinking ability, you will end up with casualties. Doesn't matter. Casualty could be people, casualty could be animals, casualty could be nature, casualty could be diversity. You will end up with casualty. So please, this is for Iran too. You motherfuckers, you accept that all voices needs to be heard. Maybe there is a solution that we haven't thought about to a problem. So all voices need to be heard all over, in Iran too. And Uncle Sam, please, pretty please. And please, you have to raise the quality of your leaders by just raising their education level. Only PhDs need apply for this job. That's the presidency of the United States. So you have only the really wise ones, or really educated ones, or people who actually like information and like to reach logical conclusions from the information that is provided to them. Only those people get to become chief of our tribe. Our tribe. Only those people should become the chief of our tribe. Anywhere in the world. When I say our tribe, I mean tribe in Mexico, tribe in Uncle Sam's tribe, Canadian tribe, Iranian tribe, the Arabian tribe. You got to dig and find the most intelligent ones, and one way of measuring who's more intelligent than others is just the PhD. That's the regular measure. But nobody. Because here's the thing, a good system is a system that every time a good leader is chosen. You see what I mean? You can tell a system is good when you're designing a system. You don't design a car and say, oh, it works 6 days a week, 1 day a week it will break down. You don't design such system. Why should you design an electoral system that you have so many odd items in the bunch? You see what I'm saying? You can say this is such an important job that why did one time that we solved this equation of who should be the leader of our tribe in United States, of course I wasn't involved, I was an observer, and I'm speaking of my observation, that what I saw is that when you have written a formula of how to choose the leader of our tribe, and the last time, once you solve this formula for the population of the United States, solve this formula, United States ended up with a character like Bush Jr. for almost a decade. And you're thinking to yourself that, was he the best thinker? You remember the tribe with 5 best thinkers from 80 people. These are 5 best thinkers. Let's choose one of them as the leader of the tribe. Bush Jr. doesn't fit between one of those 5. Bush Jr. was the cowboy of the tribe. Can't be the leader. The chief, the top, become the chief of the tribe. No tribe, 50,000, no tribe of human beings, Homo sapiens, Neanderthal, no tribe would have had a system in which George W. Bush would be chosen as the leader. No tribe. Because he's not a thinker, and he said it himself. He said, I'm going to hire people who, do the thinking for me. I'm going to hire very smart people. No, that doesn't work. It's not the answer to this question, because very smart people can only give you options because you choose. It's like very smart people put a missile together, but then you give it to a dumb person to shoot it. I'm sorry, this whole idea of selling great weapons to the Arabs is just that. Is smart, very smart people all over great nation of Uncle Sam building great missiles and giving it to stupid people to shoot it. All the great minds of humanity has gone and built this great missile, this sophisticated missile, and now we are going to give it to the lesser of our tribes to shoot each other with. These are who are not great thinkers. The best minds have created weapons for the least minds. I'm sorry, it's just when I say logical, if leadership is logical, this is what I mean. I mean, a guy with a PhD would be able to solve this puzzle. Let's say in 2 seconds, say, no, we are not selling any weapons to Saudi Arabia. We are not selling any weapons to people who, shows that they cannot manage well. They're not great thinkers. So we are not going to sell these weapons that are the result of the work of very great thinkers, and we're going to give it to these guys to shoot each other with. No, we're not going to do that. And that's also the answer to the question of weapons in the hands of the people. As a society, carrying weapons around, it's sort of like all these great minds have gone into producing these weapons, and and then these weapons are given to people who are not emotionally mature, not intellectually mature, not very well educated. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? Here's the thing, folks. Let me cover this too. Education. The answer to the question of what's the problem with the why people so many homicides taking place in the United States and so many mass shootings and this and that, folks, it's education. The Republicans try to say that it's mental health, which is, oh well, if you say it's mental health, why don't you open some institutions, mental health institutions? You know, those to people around the world that don't know this. Well, you should know this, that the United States closed all its mental institution, and it's still closed, like 30, 40 years ago, around 1970s, 60s, 70s, 80s. They basically decided that these are too expensive to upkeep. These mental institutions are too expensive. So we are not going to, have them. Whoever can be taken care of by their own family, fine. Who are crazy, if they can't be taken care of by their own family, they can live on the street until they pass. Well, the solution to the problem of the gun violence is not mental health institution, but the Republicans who say it is. Well, why don't you put your money where your mouth is and open mental institution and house people who cannot take care of themselves. If you say that's the problem. Now, but that is not the answer to the gun violence solution. And the Democrats say, okay, let's take away the guns. Yes, that is the solution. Let's take away the gun. You know why that is the solution? Okay, Democrats, this is on you. Republicans in general, I don't know what planet you guys are from, but Democrats, the solution to the gun violence, it has had to come to removal of guns from people because you neglected their education. My Democratic friends, you neglected their education. When you neglect people's education, you take away their critical thinking, and when you take away their critical thinking and education, you're taking away civility from them. Let's say this is how it goes. You don't educate people, will not be critical thinkers. No education and no critical thinking means less civility. Because to have civility, you have to have some education regarding how things work and how society is put together, and you have to have some education. And then through that education of physics and chemistry and all of that, you become a critical thinker. So with education and critical thinking, you become civilized. You don't run around and shoot people because you don't see the point of it, because you're a critical thinker. You know the end result is not going to be, it's going to be messy, not good for anyone. And your critical thinking even doesn't allow you to think in those terms. You say, whatever it is, it has other solutions. Whatever is the problem, there are other solutions. This is one of them, not a very interesting one, but there are other solutions. This finding other solutions beside going and shooting people, this is called critical thinking. Hey, I have a problem here. I have to find a solution for it. Okay, let me think about it. Critical thinking and find a solution for it. But this gun comes into effect because when there is no critical thinking. You can't find a solution for it, so you go for the gun. That's when the idea comes from, that whatever you don't understand, you go for the gun. You don't want that as the chief of the tribe. You don't want those in the tribe at all. That's why you have to educate everybody very well, my democratic friend. You have failed their education. Now you have to collect their guns, because now they're acting as like children. You have neglect. But when people are not educated, a 30-year-old who is not educated behaves like a 10-year-old. There is no difference between the behavior of a 10-year-old and a 30-year-old if the 30-year-old is not educated. So the fact that you say that the 10-year-old should not have a gun, but the 30-year-old could have a gun, but you know that 30-year-old thinks a lot like the 10-year-old because you didn't invest in their education. You see what I'm saying? It really doesn't make sense that, okay, you can have a gun because you turned 21. What if that because of bad education that the gentleman has received, he thinks like an 11-year-old? Just physically turning 21 doesn't mean that he's mentally 21. He's 11. And you're giving a gun to an 11-year-old? Probably, I mean, if you want to, because either invest, the answer to the question of guns in the United States is education. Education. Physics, mathematics, biology, science, these things. And the answer to education is very high pay for teachers. When you pay very well, you attract the best minds, and you want the best minds in your teaching positions. So when you don't pay well, you get very stupid people as educators. But when you pay very well, you get the best educators. You get the best minds. When you pay very well your teachers, as a government should pay teachers. That I think the universities should be all national, and the government should pay a high salary to teachers. All the universities, all the schools, all the public schools, the teachers' pay should be one of the highest pays. By today's money, I would say pay teachers in high school, by today's money, $150,000, $200,000 a year. If you set the salary of teachers in high school at $200,000 a year, you know what kind of brains you invite? You know what kind of brainiacs would want to have a $200,000 a year job if the job is teaching? Yes, for the money they are willing to do it. And that's what you want. You want the best minds as teachers. Small classroom, best minds. So basically, I would say you want to prevent gun violence in the United States. You want to have be shining city on the hill. Change the education budget and defense budget. Just turn it around. And let's say this next 4 years we're going to do experiments. We are going to set the education budget what the defense budget was, and set the defense budget what the education budget was. Just change the numbers. I don't know how you're going to do it. Just change the numbers. You will see the result in 25 years. One generation. You will see the result in 25 years. The United States is going to be Norway. It's going to be Sweden, one of the best educated, most civilized societies in the world. And you can have all the guns you want. Free, out in the open. You can have all the guns you want. You see, you're putting money in defense and no money in education. And you're thinking, why are people shooting each other? Well, they're not critical thinkers. I don't want to say this, but because they're not critical thinkers, they're not, sometimes they don't behave in a civil manner. And they shoot each other. Solution, the answer, education. When you educate people, you make them critical thinkers, you make them logical thinkers, and from that comes civil behavior, good civil behavior. But to do that, you need to educate them very well. Educate very well. When you educate very well, change the defense budget with the education budget, educate very well, and then you will have utopia in one generation. You will become 10 times better, as more civilized than the Swedish are. But $200,000 a year education of a teacher in primary school, in middle school, in high school, college, $200,000 a year. If you're a professor, forget about professor, if you're a teacher in a primary school, $200,000 a year. See what great minds you will attract to the positions. And great minds create other great minds. The children are going to become, hold very good views, great minds, great thinkers, great analytical thinkers. Education. Step one in education, high teacher pay, high, very high, relatively. Teachers pay to attract the best people, and small classes. 5 to 10. Every teacher can attend to 5 to 10 people at max. Then you come back in 25 years and you will have millions of guns and no homicides. Some suicides, but no homicides. Suicide is... Great thinkers may take their own life because shit becomes too boring. But that's why so many great thinkers, writers. I believe Hemingway killed himself. It's just of all cultures, all the many great thinkers from all cultures take their own life. It's just because when you say whatever needed to be said, or write whatever needed to be written, then you clock out. But you may want to clock out. But just please raise the level of the leadership. PhDs. If you want to be representing any member of this public, you got to have a PhD in something. We don't care what. Everything will become much better. When you have great thinkers in the position of power, everything works out much better. Everything. Folks, if 50,000 years ago our cave-dwelling ancestors could find a system in which they can pick the greatest mind of the tribe to be the leader of the tribe, if they could do it 50,000 years ago, by changing a couple of rules, we can do it today. Let's pick the greatest minds, greatest brains, those people who like information and who like drawing logical conclusions from the given information. Let's pick those as leaders. Let's set rules that will result into those people becoming leaders of our tribe. Anywhere in the world, Uganda, Iran, Pakistan, raise the standard of who can become if you have to be a democracy, you have to raise the standard. PhDs as leaders, only PhDs.